Why would a billionaire leave behind everything, his wealth, his fame, his entire empire, just to sell cucumbers on the street? And why did the only woman who showed him kindness begin to doubt him the moment another man showed up in a white coat? Was her love ever real? Or was he about to lose the one thing he gave everything up to find? This isn't just a love story, it's a test of truth, betrayal, and a secret that will leave you speechless. Ibrahim, a successful billionaire tech mogul in South Africa, had everything: luxury, fame, and wealth. Yet, despite his accomplishments, he felt something was missing: true love. He had been in a relationship with Linda, a beautiful woman whom he believed loved him for who he was, not for his money. One evening, after a long day, Ibrahim quietly entered his mansion, not wanting to disturb the silence. As he walked through the hall, he overheard Linda on the phone in the living room. She was speaking to a friend, unaware that Ibrahim had already come home. "Ibrahim is such a fool," she laughed. "He thinks I love him for who he is, but I'm just here for his money. I'll use my South African connections to take over his companies. Once I've got him completely fooled, I'll kick him out and move on." The words hit Ibrahim like a punch to the gut. His heart shattered. The woman he trusted, the one he thought loved him, was only using him for his wealth and power. Ibrahim stood frozen, unable to believe what he was hearing. Linda continued, completely oblivious to his presence, but Ibrahim didn't react. Instead, he retreated to his room, torn by the shocking truth. Later, he realized that his entire life, filled with success and luxury, had been built on a lie. The love he thought he had was nothing more than manipulation. Ibrahim knew he couldn't stay in this relationship any longer. He vowed to leave behind everything: his wealth, his fame, and his empire, to find someone who would truly love him for who he was, not for what he owned. He was determined to find a love built on trust, respect, and sincerity. And so, Ibrahim decided that the only thing he truly needed was to be true to himself, and he wouldn't let anyone take away what he had built, not even Linda. 2 days later, Ibrahim woke up to his phone ringing. It was his mother calling from Nigeria, and her voice sounded worried. "Ibrahim, what are you waiting for? You need to get married and give me some grandchildren. If you haven't found anyone, I know a good girl here in Nigeria who can be your wife." Ibrahim sighed deeply. His mother didn't know about what had happened with Linda, and he didn't want to tell her. "Mama, don't worry. I'll find someone. Just give me some time." But Ibrahim couldn't stop thinking about the words he had overheard Linda say just a few days ago. She had only been with him for his money, not because she loved him. That hurt him deeply. His heart felt heavy, and he knew something had to change. Later that day, Ibrahim made a decision. It was time to leave South Africa and go to Nigeria. He didn't want to be the rich man everyone saw him as. He wanted to be someone people loved for who he truly was, not for his money. He called his assistant and told him to book a flight for him to Nigeria. He asked for 2 months off from his companies, knowing this was his chance to find someone who could love him for who he really was, not the billionaire Ibrahim, but just Ibrahim, the man. "I'm going to Nigeria," he said to himself. "There, no one will know me. I'll find someone who loves me for me." Ibrahim was nervous but excited. This was his chance to start over. He packed his bags, his heart filled with hope, and left everything behind. Ibrahim had just landed in Nigeria, his heart racing with a new mission. "I need to blend in," Ibrahim thought as he walked through the busy streets. "I need to do this the real way, just like everyone else." He went to a crowded market and bought a few bags of cucumbers. The air smelled of fresh produce, and the sounds of bargaining filled the space. But as he held his first bag of cucumbers, he realized this wasn't going to be as easy as he thought. At first, everything went horribly wrong. Ibrahim, dressed in his humble disguise as a cucumber seller, walked through the crowded market with a sense of determination. But his refined billionaire accent, heavy with big vocabulary and a tone that sounded far more suited for high-powered boardrooms than local markets, immediately drew attention. He approached a nearby vegetable stand, his voice confident but unmistakably out of place. "Good morning, my good vendor. Might I inquire about the cost of these cucumbers you're selling?" His words were polite, but the grandeur of his speech contrasted sharply with the busy, no-nonsense environment of the market. The vendor, a middle-aged woman with a sharp eye, looked him up and down. "Haba," she exclaimed, throwing her hands up in disbelief. "See how you dey talk. Cucumbers you wan buy or contract you wan sign?" Ibrahim blinked, slightly taken aback, but he kept his composure. "I'm interested in purchasing them. Could you kindly inform me of the price?" A ripple of laughter spread through the nearby vendors. One of them, an older man who had been observing from the side, chuckled and shook his head. "You wan buy cucumber, or you wan right proposal? Which kind talk be that? Na cucumber market, no boardroom." The mocking laughter grew louder, and a couple of the younger vendors joined in. "You know the price? You be billionaire and you know no market price," one of them taunted, his voice laced with mockery. "Billionaire talk no fit buy cucumber here, Oga. Maybe you should buy shares instead." Ibrahim felt his face flush. The insult stung, and the way they ridiculed his accent, the same accent that had once opened doors to high society, was unsettling. Their laughter, combined with the biting remarks, made him question everything for a moment. What was he doing here? He felt out of place, like a fish out of water, and the humiliation almost overwhelmed him. But just as he was about to turn away in frustration, a thought struck him. No, this is not the time to quit. He'd come this far for a reason. He wasn't going to let a few laughs from market vendors shake his resolve. With a deep breath, Ibrahim forced a smile. "I appreciate the humor, my friends, but please, allow me to purchase these cucumbers. I believe they're worth every penny, no matter what they cost." The vendors exchanged glances, their laughter dying down. Ibrahim wasn't just a man who had built an empire, he was a man with a mission. And if it meant enduring a little mockery along the way, so be it. Then said to himself, before this my billionaire accent will put into a very big trouble and spoil my plans, I need to put it aside. Even though the market seemed like a foreign world to him, Ibrahim didn't give up. He loaded his bags of cucumbers onto a small cart and pushed it to a nearby nursing school. The bright white walls of the nurse school caught his eye, and his heart skipped a beat. His hands trembled slightly as he called out, "Fresh cucumbers. Sweet and crunchy." Would his quiet voice be enough to catch attention? Or was he just another man trying to blend in? Ibrahim didn't know, but he knew one thing: he wouldn't give up until he found love. As Ibrahim stood at his stall, trying to sell cucumbers, a group of 3 nursing students watched him from a distance. They giggled and whispered to each other, their eyes trained on him. "What is this one doing here?" one of them sneered. "This is a nursing school, not a place for someone like him." "Let's go meet him," the second nursing student suggested, her voice dripping with amusement. They walked over to Ibrahim's corner, their laughter growing louder with every step. When they reached him, one of the girls couldn't hold back her mockery. "Why are you selling cucumbers? This isn't your kind of place." Before Ibrahim could respond, another nursing student grabbed a cucumber from his cart and refused to pay for it. "Look at him, acting like a common seller. Do you think anyone's going to buy from you?" she taunted, holding the cucumber like a trophy. Ibrahim's blood boiled. Why are people so cruel? He thought, anger rising in him. But he remained calm, refusing to let them see the hurt they had caused. The third girl, a more outspoken one, warned, her voice stern. "If you stare at us that way again, we'll throw all these cucumbers away." Ibrahim's frustration reached a breaking point as the rich man's daughter among them, with a sharp flick of her wrist, tossed the cucumber onto the ground. Ibrahim stood there in disbelief, staring at the fallen fruit, his heart sinking with the sight of his hard work being destroyed. His cart of cucumbers lay in ruins, the bright green vegetables scattered on the dusty floor. Feeling dejected, Ibrahim bent down to gather them, his hands trembling slightly. But just as he was about to pick up the last cucumber, he noticed a hand reaching out to help. It was another nursing student, this one a striking young woman with a gentle demeanor. "Let me help you," she said softly, as she knelt down beside him, picking up the cucumbers with ease. Ibrahim looked up at her, grateful for the unexpected kindness. She smiled at him, a warm and encouraging smile that brought a glimmer of hope to his tired eyes. "Don't let them get to you," she said, her voice steady and reassuring. "Those girls are just being cruel for no reason. The one who threw the cucumber away? She's the daughter of a powerful man. No one dares speak against her." Ibrahim nodded, trying to absorb her words. "You see," she continued, "I'm from a poor background myself. I got into nursing through a scholarship because of my grades. They don't bully me, because I help them with their studies. They're just jealous, and they'll never change." The nurse's words resonated deeply with Ibrahim. For the first time since he'd arrived at the market, he felt a flicker of hope. "Thank you," he said quietly, his voice filled with gratitude. She smiled again, standing up and brushing the dirt from her knees. "Next time, just avoid them. Let them be. There are people who will treat you with kindness. You don't need to waste your time on those who don't appreciate you." Ibrahim stood up, dusting himself off. He looked at the beautiful nurse, Fatima, who had given him not just a hand, but hope. As she walked away, her words stayed with him, making him feel that, perhaps, there was still something worth fighting for in this world. That night, as Ibrahim lay in his tiny bed, the stars shining brightly through the window, he made a promise to himself: he would find a way to see her again. He couldn't let this chance slip away. This was more than just selling cucumbers, it was about finding something real, something worth all the effort. And Fatima might just be the one to show him what that was. The next day, during break, Ibrahim was at his usual spot in the market, selling his cucumbers. To his surprise, Fatima walked up to him, smiling. She sat down next to him and said, "I want to buy some of your cucumbers." Ibrahim couldn't help but smile back. "You want my cucumbers? They're really sweet. I'm sure you'll enjoy them," he said, teasing her playfully. Fatima laughed and took one of the cucumbers he handed her. She took a big bite, and her eyes lit up. "Wow, this is really sweet," she said, impressed. She looked at him and asked, "How much is it?" Ibrahim felt a little shy. "Don't worry, you don't have to pay," he said, trying to be kind. But Fatima shook her head and insisted, "No, Ibrahim, this is business. Please, don't mix business with pleasure. I know you need the money." Ibrahim paused for a moment. A thought ran through his mind: if only she knew my real plan. Still, he accepted the money and smiled. "Thank you," he said softly. Fatima smiled back and nodded. "You're welcome." She stood up to leave, but as she walked away, Ibrahim felt something he hadn't felt in a while: hope. As Fatima walked back to class, deep in thought about her conversation with Ibrahim, the same group of nursing students who had mocked him the day before stopped her on the way. They stood in front of her, their faces twisted with amusement. One of the girls spoke first, laughing loudly. "You like being poor, don't you? You don't want to leave poverty behind. Instead of getting with someone rich to help you and your family, you're there, loving up with a common cucumber seller." Another girl joined in, mocking her tone. "Honestly, I'm just concerned. You help us with our book work, but if you ask me, you both deserve each other." Fatima didn't say a word. She simply kept walking, her face calm, not letting their cruel words affect her. She headed straight to her class and sat down quietly, her mind still on Ibrahim and what her classmates had said. She couldn't help but think about them, their words echoing in her mind. Maybe they don't understand me, she thought, but what I feel for Ibrahim is real. I don't need their approval. As she sat there, lost in thought, she couldn't shake the feeling that, for the first time in a long while, she had found someone who truly cared. Days passed, and Ibrahim's life as a cucumber seller was harder than he had expected. The work was tiring, and he often felt discouraged. People ignored him, treating him like just another man selling vegetables. He didn't mind the hard work, but the loneliness was starting to wear him down. Would he ever find the person who could love him for who he truly was? One morning, after a long and tiring day, Ibrahim's truck broke down on the way to the city. His cucumbers spilled everywhere, scattered across the road. Ibrahim stood there, staring at the mess, feeling defeated. His heart sank as he looked at the damage. "I can't keep doing this," he muttered to himself, his voice full of frustration. "Maybe it's time to give up. I should just call my mother and let her find a wife for me. I can't keep living like this." But just as he was about to give up, something unexpected happened. Fatima, noticing he hadn't shown up to sell his cucumbers that day, called him. Ibrahim picked up the phone, and he explained what had happened, his truck breaking down, his cucumbers ruined, and how everything seemed to be falling apart. Fatima listened, her voice filled with sympathy and concern. She offered words of comfort, encouraging him to stay strong and reminding him that things would get better. After the call ended, Ibrahim sat in silence, his thoughts racing. Could she be the one I've been searching for? He wondered. Maybe I should just give up now and go to her, tell her the truth about everything. But then, another thought crept into his mind. Not yet. Stay patient. Watch and see. For the first time in a long while, Ibrahim felt a glimmer of hope. He wasn't sure what the future held, but one thing was certain: Fatima had touched something deep within him. Ibrahim had always tried to stay out of gossip, but one afternoon, he couldn't help but overhear Fatima's classmates talking behind her back. Their words cut deep, and Ibrahim felt his heart drop. "She needs someone better than Ibrahim," one of her friends said. "He's just a cucumber seller. She deserves someone educated, someone with money and status." Another friend chimed in, "Fatima could have so much more. Why waste time with him? She deserves someone who can offer her a better future, upgrade her life and family." Ibrahim stood frozen, hidden behind the corner. The words stung him deeply. He knew he wasn't rich. He didn't have a fancy job or a big title, but he had always thought that Fatima valued him for his kindness, his realness, his heart. Now, he began to wonder if that was enough for her. "I need to find out if Fatima really cares for me, or if she just sees me as a poor man," Ibrahim thought. "Maybe she's only with me because she's being kind, or maybe she's looking for something more." He came up with a plan. Determined to make it work, Ibrahim walked through the market to find Musa, a young man that sells cucumber. Musa didn't have much money. He didn't know Ibrahim well, but he agreed to help with the plan. Ibrahim explained his idea. "Musa," Ibrahim said, "I need you to pretend to be a doctor. Wear a white coat and stethoscope. I want you to tell Fatima that she deserves someone rich and educated. Tell her she should be with someone like you, someone who has a future. I'll pay you well for your time." Musa agreed, though he wasn't sure how it would work out. But the money was tempting, so he said yes. The next day, Musa showed up at the nursing school dressed as a doctor. He walked confidently toward Fatima, who was walking alone the institute hallway. He smiled and greeted her politely. "Hello, Fatima," Musa said smoothly. "I'm Dr. Musa. I've heard so much about you. You're a bright, hardworking student. You deserve someone who can offer you a future filled with comfort, success, and opportunities." Fatima looked at him, surprised but polite. "Thank you," she said, unsure where the conversation was headed. Dr. Musa continued, "I understand you've been spending time with Ibrahim. But let me tell you, you deserve more than that. Ibrahim is a good man, but he's just a cucumber seller. You could have so much more with someone like me, someone who's educated and has a bright future. You deserve someone who can take care of you and give you the life you deserve." Fatima felt uncomfortable. She had always admired Ibrahim's kind heart, but now she was questioning everything. Dr. Musa was educated, successful, and seemed to have everything she could want. Maybe she had been foolish. Was she really making the right choice with Ibrahim? She felt torn, unsure of what to believe. Ibrahim, who had been watching from a distance, felt his heart break. He could see Fatima listening to Musa, and he wondered if she was falling for him. Was she really looking for a man with money and status? Ibrahim felt a pang of disappointment and fear. Had he been fooling himself thinking she loved him for who he was? Just as Fatima was about to respond to Dr. Musa, she suddenly turned and walked toward Ibrahim. "Ibrahim!" Fatima called out, her voice full of confusion and emotion. Ibrahim's heart skipped a beat. Was she coming to say goodbye? Was she going to leave him for Musa? Fatima walked right up to him, her face filled with uncertainty. Ibrahim, I've been so confused, she said, her voice shaking. I let what others said and what Dr. Musa said get to me. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm not looking for wealth or someone with a fancy title. I'm looking for someone who sees me for who I am, someone who cares for me. And that's you, Ibrahim. You've always been there for me. You're kind, real, and genuine. That's what matters most to me. Ibrahim's chest tightened with relief and joy. You mean, you still want to be with me? He asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Fatima smiled, her eyes softening. Yes, Ibrahim. I don't need money or titles. I just need someone who loves me for who I am. And that someone is you. Meanwhile, one of Fatima's close friends, who had always encouraged her to choose Dr. Musa, ended up getting involved with him herself. She believed his promises of a better life, thinking he was rich and successful. Without finishing nursing school, she rushed into marriage with Musa, dreaming of a life filled with luxury and comfort. But soon after the wedding, reality hit. Life was hard. With a heavy heart and deep regret, she found herself selling cucumbers alongside Musa just to survive. The stress became too much for her. In the end, their marriage fell apart, leaving Fatima's friend full of disappointment, wishing she had chosen love over status. As for Ibrahim and Fatima, their love grew stronger. Ibrahim had one more thing to reveal to Fatima, his true identity. After months of keeping his secret, he decided it was time to tell her the truth. Fatima, Ibrahim said, taking her hand, there's something I need to tell you. I'm not just a cucumber seller. I'm a billionaire. I've built businesses in South Africa. I didn't tell you this before because I didn't want you to be with me for my money. I wanted you to love me for who I truly am. Fatima was shocked. Her heart raced with anger and confusion. Why did you lie to me? She asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Ibrahim sighed, his eyes filled with regret. I didn't want you to see me as just another rich man. I wanted you to see me for who I am, not for my wealth. Fatima, hurt and confused, left him for a while. She needed time to process everything. But after some reflection, she realized that Ibrahim's love was real, and his honesty meant more to her than anything else. She returned to him, forgiving him for keeping the truth from her, knowing that their love was stronger than anything. They had a grand wedding, a celebration of their love, surrounded by family and friends. Ibrahim's mother was overjoyed, especially to have such a wonderful daughter-in-law. She couldn't stop smiling, proud of her son's choice. After the wedding, Ibrahim took Fatima to South Africa, where they began their new life together. They lived comfortably, surrounded by love, success, and happiness. Ibrahim had found someone who truly loved him for who he was, and Fatima had found the man who saw her for who she truly was. Together, they built a future filled with love, trust, and happiness. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe and turn all notification, so you will be notified for more interesting stories.